Hey everybody, it's Jenny from Norman S. Wright. So I want to switch topics today and talk about something we've been hearing a lot about in the HVAC and construction industries. I want to talk about embodied carbon. So today I'm going to answer the question, what is embodied carbon? Let's get started. About a year ago, I did a video on decarbonization and electrification, where I discussed how many cities and states, including California, Washington, New York, and Colorado, are working towards electrification of buildings and moving away from buildings that use gas or other fossil fuels that create emissions. This mostly deals with operational carbon, or the carbon emissions that are linked to energy expenditure of the building. This includes carbon emitted from the use of appliances, lighting, HVAC systems, and other things that use energy. So if that's operational carbon, what is embodied carbon? Embodied carbon is the carbon dioxide emissions associated with the materials and construction processes through the whole life cycle of a building or infrastructure. It includes any CO2 associated with extracting, mining, manufacturing, and transporting of construction materials. Let me make a little bit more room. Embodied carbon is the carbon footprint of a building or infrastructure project before it becomes operational. Unlike operational carbon, CO2 from material usage is a one-time occurrence and it can't be improved upon after the product or equipment is installed. The only way to reduce it is to use low carbon manufactured materials in the building construction. Now let's move this over and make more room. Architecture 2030 says that the world's building square footage is projected to double by the year 2060. That's the equivalent of adding an entire New York City to the world every month for 40 years. So we're starting to see buy clean legislations from states and cities, like I mentioned before, but also from building owners. Many commonly used construction materials such as steel, concrete, and insulation are carbon intensive. They account for 11% of the greenhouse gas emissions, so you can see why everyone's looking at the construction industry to reduce embodied carbon. So what we're starting to see is projects asking for a life cycle assessment, LCA, of the products that they buy. And this is where EPDs come in. EPDs are environmental product declarations. It's like a nutrition label for the product's environmental footprint. EPDs may report a variety of life cycle impacts such as global warming, GWP, ozone depletion, and smog formation, but they also typically include additional manufacturer and product data such as components, manufacturing processes and locations, and resource use. Let's move this over to make a little more room one more time. As you can imagine, for something like an air handler with so many components from so many different suppliers, life cycle assessment is a pretty difficult thing to wrap your arms around. ISO standards 14040 and 14044 do specify requirements and provide guidelines for life cycle assessments, but most manufacturers are just starting to look at EPDs and how to gather and report the information that's needed. So there's probably going to be a follow-up video that covers EPDs in the future as embodied carbon gains more interest in our industry and more manufacturers gather how they need to provide this information to us. So until then, that's an overview of embodied carbon and what we can expect to see in the future around embodied carbon and EPDs. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thanks for watching.